Well, today's talk is the one I had planned on doing last month, but life intervened and I had a more important message to present last month. So let's get back to having a little bit of fun with this spirituality thing instead of being so serious all the time. Today's talk, Redneck Spirituality, is, any discussion of redneck spirituality first requires a quick review of what exactly a redneck is. It has a sort of a negative connotation, but it's not necessarily negative at all. The term is specific to the United States, so I cannot assume our worldwide audience is familiar with its definition. The word originates as a description, usually of a white man who works outdoors, causing a perpetual sunburned appearance where his shirt alternately covers and exposes his neck area with movement as he works. So he's an outdoors person generally. And the intelligence of the person is never really in question. However, due to their limited formal education, and we are speaking generally here, their perceived sophistication does not rise to the level of the general population. A couple of examples, as observed by comedian Jeff Foxworthy, are if the if the vinyl fa- if the vinyl upholstery on your front porch bench is embossed with the word Chevrolet, you might be a redneck. Or if the fancy two-tiered planter by your roadside mailbox prominently features a flush handle, you might be a redneck. Now, these examples illustrate genius solutions and recycling of otherwise non-functional items, but are caricatures of the intended effect. Redneck spirituality likewise demonstrates examples of where well-meaning, intelligent people have accepted beliefs as spiritual that seem probable, but miss the mark of creating a world that works for everyone. Let's look at some examples. If your religious beliefs require legislation to advance compliance, you may be misaligned with spirit. In some religious communities, their indoctrination is so complete that only their interpretations of righteousness can be accepted. However, their beliefs are so misaligned with the true principles of spirit that the only method of enforcing them on the general society is to enact legislation with severe penalties for non-believers. These communities proclaim piety and devotion to their definition of God, but their zeal value form over function. Their rules and hierarchy, their ceremonies and traditions eclipse what they claim to believe. The only legislation spirit requires is the law of cause and effect, and that is baked in the cake. Spirit creates effects for us based on the cause we energize with our beliefs. If your religious beliefs identify a definable enemy that must be vanquished, you may be misaligned with spirit.
Recording in progress.
In spirit, we are all of the one mind. Spirit does not play favorites. The saying, "There are no strangers, only friends I haven't met yet," reflects how spirit works. Creating enemies is a choice. When we choose understanding and love, better solutions are revealed. If your religious beliefs rely on fear of punishment to demand obedience, you may be misaligned with spirit. This dovetails with legislation with the added twist of unpleasant consequences for crossing the line. The challenging effects created by spirit from our misinformed choices is punishment enough, but they are self-inflicted. We are free to self-correct and spirit adjust with us. No finger pointing, no "I told you so." If your religious beliefs assign divine status to an anointed individual, you may be misaligned with spirit. Spirit does not assign value to beliefs or individuals. There is no anointed one in spirit. In spirit, we are all of the one mind. Perhaps you're noticing a theme here. Some may have a better grasp on how it works. Some may appear to demonstrate more results than others, but that is a result of their practice, not of a special status bestowed upon them. If your religious beliefs judge individuals on the color of their skin, the place of their birth, or native language, you may be misaligned with spirit. This takes us back to the previous subject of an anointed one. Spirit does not judge. Therefore, if your religion is discriminating for any reason, it follows that your beliefs are misaligned with spirit. All of us are simply physical expressions of spirit. As such, there can be no differentiation of value based on any of the attributes that we physically determine. Spirit does not recognize place, language, or appearance. It simply acts on our beliefs. Anything else is a human construct, and therefore simply a misdirected belief. If your religious beliefs demand destruction of historic symbolism for the fear it might suggest your God has not always been recognized as the one and only, you may be misaligned with spirit. As a fan of human history, it really upset me when I saw certain religious groups in the late 20th century destroying ancient architecture in the name of their interpretation of God. Their fear that these ancient structures might, these magnificent pieces of human creation, somehow threaten the strength of their interpretation of God, just showed me that their God couldn't be very strong. Their inability to accept these examples of human accomplishment for the magnificence of their existence speaks volumes left unsaid. Nothing about these ancient structures threatens their belief in any way. And yet they feel any recognition of a belief system that preceded their own has been unpracticed for centuries is still a threat. And that is just sad. Excuse me. It is as if we, as students of religious science, felt compelled to bulldoze every standing church in the world to erase any memory of its existence because our confidence in our belief is too nebulous to survive scrutiny. The great mosque of the Middle East, the cathedral at Notre Dame, the Vatican itself, all magnificent structures and demonstrations of human accomplishment would need to be erased just to prove to the world that our beliefs are the only beliefs of consequence. Spirit was around long before any belief system was developed. Freedom of choice has allowed humanity to develop its beliefs in a variety of ways, not necessarily accurate or correct, but in accordance to freedom of choice. The structures erected in accordance with those beliefs are all creations of spirit. They demonstrate human accomplishment, whether the belief system that created them is fully in spiritual alignment or not, and should be appreciated for that, if nothing else. If your religious beliefs do not encourage extending a helping hand to the stranger, you may be misaligned with spirit. If you trip and fall, it is likely your first instinct is to get back up. If you see someone else trip and fall, it is likely you feel compelled to offer them a hand up. Call it compassion, call it sympathy. It is recognition of our oneness in spirit that drives that compulsion. Our conditioning, our choices, our common consciousness have determined limits to our compassion. Most traditional religions encourage lending a helping hand. Where the breakdown occurs is the concept that lending rather than extending that helping hand. The lending of a helping hand implies there follows a repayment, usually in the form of conforming to their beliefs of their leader. Spirit is incapable of expecting reciprocity. Spirit simply creates for us what we believe. If your religious beliefs only see the world in black and white, you may be misaligned with spirit. Evolution, that dirty little word that so many traditional teachings recoil from as the passkey of their devil, is the liner that contains the multitude of creations inspired by spirit, just figuring out how it works. The current culture war is being instigated to widen the gulf between the spiritually aware and the misinformed, harp monotonously on their insistence that everyone's mental gender identity is tied irrevocably to their physical presence. Every culture on earth thinks of itself as the final product of evolution. Anything else can only be an inferior, undeveloped predecessor that just has not yet died off. Spirit is the source of everything, and we are all interconnected. How is it conceivable that one is superior to another when we are all created by and expressions of the same source? Of course, we all have different skills and talents, but that is a consequence of choices and chance, not a design flaw or careless workmanship on the part of spirit. Even the night sky is illuminated by billions of stars. It is never truly dark. True darkness is only found when we choose to cut ourselves off from the light by going underground or otherwise isolating ourselves. Dualism is not a spiritual, but rather a human construct. Spiritual creation populates the entire spectrum of possibilities, with only our prejudices generating a difference. If your religious beliefs support book burning, library oversight committees, or denial of provable facts, you may be misaligned with spirit. Beyond knowledge dwells the gods. The earliest humans felt the same emotions and fascinations as we experience today. Anything they could not explain fell into the realm of divinity, beyond explanation, therefore ordained from a God whose ways were unknown. At the primal level, we have not changed all that much. What we have done is increasing our understanding of the world around us. We have sailed around the world and have not fallen off the edge. We have invented instruments to measure, mathematics to verify, and alphabets to record. The rate of our ignorance shrinking has been accelerating since the first humans learned to make fire on demand rather than sitting around waiting for some god to strike a tree with lightning. For a religion to suppress knowledge is simply another proof of its frailty. Spirit is creativity as its core, and expansion of our understanding is its natural trajectory. If your religious beliefs place conditions on love, you may be misaligned with spirit. Once again, spirit is unconditional love. Spirit's love is so unconditional it creates without judgment in alignment with our beliefs, even when those beliefs are misaligned with spirit. The teacher Jesus instructs us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And yet many who proclaim with a righteousness far beyond their demonstration to love them some Jesus seem to overlook that simple message. If your religious beliefs dictate your diet or fashion choices, you may be misaligned with spirit. There are good reasons for avoiding or enjoying certain foods, but those choices should be guided by health concerns rather than a belief that God will be displeased. Most of us know to pass on the egg salad at a barbecue late in the day after it's been sitting out in the sun for several hours, but a fresh egg salad right out of the refrigerator is an enjoyable, tasty treat, and whether or not we choose to eat it should not be determined by some arbitrary religious edict based on fear of possible consequences. Spirit provides all sources of sustenance, and choosing to starve before indulging in available choices seems rather counter to spiritual alignment. Likewise, clothing restraints are just virtue signaling to the community. Look at me, I'm a true believer. Disregard any evidence to the contrary. Films of early NASA space missions show mission control staffed by men all dressed in white shirts and neckties. SpaceX mission control is colorful and casual. Mission success is determined by dedication, not dress code. If your religious beliefs give you the right to kill anyone who does not believe as you do, you may be misaligned with spirit. What can I say about this one? What part of love thy neighbor as thee love thyself is not clear? Is thou shalt not kill overly complicated? We are all intertwined with spirit. If we make war on others, we're just making war on ourselves. If your religious beliefs create a container into which you must contort yourself to fit into, you may be misaligned with spirit. You may have heard me say in the past that spirit is dumb as a post. By that I mean it is not capable of original thought. Even though all the knowledge of the universe exists within spirit, the answer to every question, even those we have not thought to ask, is there for our asking. Spirit can only act on our belief. If we all conformed to a predefined formula of thought, spirit would be out of a job. Spirit relies on our freedom of choice clause to come up with tasks for it to perform, beliefs to demonstrate, and challenges for us to overcome. What would be the point of our even being here if life were just about following preordained instructions? If your religious beliefs really lead you to expect a life free of chaos, you may be misaligned with spirit. Thank you for your attention this morning.